Next on Curate, reaching to the stars for inspiration and self-discovery.
Some of these characters are like our modern-day superheroes.
Turning cosmic creations into wearable art.
These are all the ways in which a lot of cultures represent the way they see the sky.
Walking through this art can take you on a journey you won't forget.
I think there is something to be said for living artfully or making your life an art form.
Hearing this unusual instrument is more than the sound of music.
When you play the thing, essentially you're kind of just talking to the deceased spirit.
It's all ahead on Curate. Thanks for joining us. I'm Heather Mazzoni.
And I'm Todd Rosenlieb, and welcome to another episode of Curate. Each week we showcase creative minds from Hampton Roads and across America.
On this program, we'll show you how some artists reach to the cosmic and even the metaphysical realm for inspiration. Bronze sculptor Merilee Cleveland of Williamsburg is quite the muse of metal. Let's see how she looks to the stars for ideas to bring her creations to life.
Casting the work in metal, it's just a medium that I've become really comfortable with and that I really, for lack of a better word, I can really shine.
There's that sunshine coming out again.
Bronze is really the butter of metals. It is very castable, very weldable. It's great to hand file, it's great to sand, very toolable. In short, you can control it.
There's the sunshine.
As a little kid, I used to play in dirt piles a lot, But I remember finding this huge cast iron gear and feeling like, wow, how did it get here? Like it just came down from space and got planted there. For me, it's sort of suspending disbelief with your artwork. They shouldn't be able to see all the work that came into it. They should just be like, wow, like how did that get here? How did she make it? I try to do things that compliment, are attractive, and make people happy. And I know there's a place for political work and controversial artwork, but I don't think that's me. As a kid, I remember looking at the sky and trying to figure out how somebody could see a bear in the stars or a dipper. But I read a lot of books about star lore. They're archetypal figures. Some of these characters are like our modern-day superheroes. There's something for everybody there. I typically sketch in 3D in wax. This is a microcrystalline wax that's developed for sculpture purposes. 3 figures based on Hopi Kachinas that are my own take on them, so I've modified them a lot. One of them's like a sun god. He has a rainbow. If something doesn't make me smile, I will throw it back and melt it down. It didn't make it. Some things don't get committed to bronze. Okay. When James and I got together and I moved here, I continued to cast my work at foundries in Loveland, Colorado, which is where I moved here from. I'm not currently pouring bronze in my studio, so we did visit some dear friends of mine who are professors at East Carolina University, and they opened their foundry up. What's the largest thing you've poured here?
It's the ECU Pirate.
The Pirate, that's here on campus?
Here on campus.
Wow,
Jody made, and I helped.
Well, we're just pouring little stuff today.
Yeah.
But it was a wonderful opportunity, I think, for all of us, and to let my daughter and my husband be involved too, which was pretty great for me to share that. This is Quinn Elizabeth. She's our greatest work of art in collaboration. It's mostly a visual experience, I think, for her.
One of the things that I concentrate on now is just teaching her to be comfortable in the environment where her mom creates. I figured out early, the women in my family play with fire.
More questions than there are answers. Littered stars in the east.
Love seeing the hot metal flow. I really do feel at home in that environment. Got a kind of a tribal feel. It's very social. At that level, you really need to do the dance with your team, because if you're not right on track with them, you could end in disaster.
Flowers. All right, close the furnace, please. All right. Thank you. Other side.
Tell me when we're up.
That's it. Left.
Okay.
Yeah. Left.
Slow down.
All right, left.
Okay.
As an artist and a mother, a lot of people can't make that decision or don't make that jump. They decide to pick one or the other.
I think about it too, and just in my life, is how can I make this situation the best it can be? I think that that's an amazingly positive message to just put on a piece of bronze.
We had kind of been on our own professional tracks and had not really contemplated having a family, and that's a huge transformation. I've always liked the saying that the same fire that melts butter hardens steel, and I think that the crucible of childbirth and parenthood and marriage has totally made us stronger.
I thought he didn't know what he was getting into, and I'm still wondering.
Too late now.
I've been excited to be in the Williamsburg Art Gallery in Merchant Square. It's a beautiful setting, a very intimate experience with fine art. A three-dimensional piece of artwork. People should want to walk around the backside. There should be a question enough that you want to see the other side, that it's a story still, even though it's all there at one time. The Cosmo dancers. When you see somebody have an emotional response to work that you've done, then you go, yeah, I did it. Learning to communicate through a three-dimensional visual language. I want to inspire some curiosity and wonder. That's the story.
The city of Williamsburg purchased Merilee's sculpture, Dawn. It is now on permanent display outside the Stryker Building in City Square. The bronze piece was the city's first official public art acquisition.
From the intimate stories of her childhood to the far reaches of outer space, a jewelry artist in Los Angeles found inspirations for her craft. Now, she's discovered an unusual gallery that her pieces can certainly call home.
I like to make sure that the pieces are facing out and slightly up, so as people look at and walk by, they see the image. It's not just a ring, it's a ring of stars. I was 5 years old when I came here the first time, which was a million years ago, and that set my heart here. I remember it vividly. And then when I was a very young teenager and I was going to school in East Los Angeles, I was a little discouraged with life, and I came up here on another field trip, and I thought, you know, There are elevated people, there's elevated thoughts, and there's an elevated institution, and it's right here. And it gave me that kind of feeling. So since that time, I have been associated with what this building does for people. Can someone have a conversation? This is a place to find out, because you can definitely have a good conversation up here. I always like this one too, the Sagittarius with the asters and all around. I think that's, and this is the, the Southern Cross. I thought about a small collection, and as we got closer in the renovation to doing the exhibit design, Dr. Krupp called me and said, "How much jewelry do you have?" I said, "How much do you need?" And he gave me a geometry problem, 175 feet this wide, undulating down in jewelry. And I said, "Geometry, didn't get a good grade in school, but I'm going to work on it." And there are about 2,300 pieces in there now. Every year when we clean the jewelry, I add a couple just for piquant's sake. And so it's been that kind of a collection. People have given me pieces. I've bought them on every continent but Antarctica. And they've been representing our human association with the sky. These are all the ways in which a lot of cultures represent the way they see the sky. I've seen places where they've had a few pieces of jewelry, but I mean, let's face it, 2,300 is a lot different. At the very beginning, here behind me, you'll see the Big Bang. It's all the smallest pieces, and they're all coming out in a big bang. And that was to just sort of say, this is how it started, this bang from little to big. Then from there on, the main theme is random and chaotic. We have another place that's just nocturnal animals and moons. We have another place that's ringed planets. We have another place that's shooting stars. And at the very end, where human existence represents about that much of the 175-foot line, all of the pieces have human faces, just to remind us that what we really care about is us. And, evolution could do whatever it does, but what we really care about is how did we get here and where do we belong. There are multiple pieces that have meaning for me. One in particular is my mentor on the board, who was also one of the founding board members, Betty Howlett, who was a friend to the Griffiths. Didn't live to see the rebuilding of the observatory, the renovation, but she knew I was going to be doing something with jewelry. So she had a necklace that her mother wore when she sang Carmen in the 1890s in Denver. It's 10 stars, and she asked me if I would please make sure that this went with whatever exhibit she did with jewelry. And for my sake, she was here for the opening, and she's here every day, because that necklace says to me, she got it. She got that this was an important part of understanding our cultural association with the sky. I knew that people were going to get a big kick out of this in a whole lot of ways, but in the main, they would see something that might open their mind to looking up. And for my money and for my heart, looking up from Griffith Observatory is just worth all of that, and giving it to here meant that. It had a lot of association for me of how the public would look at it. There are very, very few things here that were purchased new. Most of them were used, so somebody else wore them too. And that had appeal for me, that this is all very much a people's exhibit. What I want you to do is start at the very end. You're doing something valuable. People will notice how sparkly and clean and everything it is. It won't be just some dusty exhibit. And it's about doing it for the public, but it's also why these people are members of Friends of the Observatory. They want to do something for the public. They want to do something for the observatory. There is no other place in the world that has an exhibit like this, and we think it has meaning. It's Los Angeles, and we like a show, so that's why we do it. I saw a family here once who sent their kids on a quest to count how many stars were only 4 points, or to find how many 7-pointed stars there were. And it was fabulous to see people using this in a way to enliven their own kids' thoughts about other things. And that's what this is for. Griffith Observatory is here to give you an idea, to ask other questions, and find out more about looking up.
The observatory opened in 1935. In 1976, it was designated a City Historic Cultural Monument.
Few artists have merged the delicacy of wings with earthbound trash and rock. Take a look at how one Colorado artist combines these to create a truly immersive experience.
I'm Rebecca DiDomenico, and I'm sitting inside of one of my installations. It is a cave made of mica and butterfly wings and trash. It's a walk-in cave. It's called pellucid, which means beyond light, or kind of, sometimes people use it to describe the sky. So like a very clear sky is called a pellucid sky. But it also has a little bit of a kind of a spiritual notion to it, sort of like when you see something that is really moving and you feel like it's even more lit up than normal. It's made with these scales that are mica, and then they have sandwiched in between them either butterfly wings or bits of trash, all different colors. And there are 60,000 pieces, and they're sewn all on a sewing machine, all in rows. Some of the concepts that I was dealing with was the idea of fields of color. And so my first idea was to make it all with the mica and the butterfly wings. And the mica kind of acted as this protective agent to, you know how like when you try to save a butterfly wing and it turns to dust? And so the mica was a way to sort of protect the butterfly wing so it doesn't turn to dust. But then I realized, oh, I need something else besides the butterfly wings, not to make the whole cave out of just mica and butterfly wings. The same way that the butterfly wings are very ephemeral and they don't last and everyone thinks butterfly wings are beautiful, I thought I'm going to have something the opposite of that. So I used trash. Mostly it's plastic trash. So it's kind of like this material that we're stuck with now. It's ubiquitous. You can't ever get rid of it. Most people try to get rid of it. Most people think it's ugly. And yet it comes in all these really bright colors. Well, all the stalactites and the stalagmites, one of the things that I was going to talk about was how I used molds from cypress knees. So this is a cypress knee, and if you don't know what that is, it's a root of a tree that grows in the swamps in the south. I covered them with plaster bandages, and then when they dried, I cut the plaster bandage off and then reformed them again. And then I put mica dust and flakes of mica dust and other mineral dust that I put in a blender. So I had this blender and I would put these kind of flakes of mica in there and grind them all up. I'm not the kind of artist who, like a portrait painter or somebody who, picks something. They're a ceramic artist and that's what they're going to do. They're going to be making ceramics for their whole life. That's not who I am as an artist. I have love affairs with materials. I was asked to do this show on maps, and I had made some other work with maps before, but never anything on this scale. And I just started thinking about, the fact that they're flat, that it's like a flat depiction of something, land and the way the land moves. I'm making all these pieces out of places that exist already. And I thought, what about places that exist in your imagination? So then I started inventing my own maps. I think there is something to be said for living artfully or making your life an art form. And what effect does that have on you, on your inner life and your actual life, the life that you choose to lead? I think that's an art form.
DiDomenico's latest work, called Constellatory, showcases how most cultures have looked to the stars to tell their stories.
For the Hmong people of the mountainous regions of Southeast Asia, music plays a very important role in their culture, but not in the way we often think about music. We take you to a Hmong Culture Center in St. Paul, Minnesota for this story.
When you play the qing, essentially you're kind of just talking to the deceased spirit. You're giving directions, take a left here, follow the chicken here. The qing was created to kind of keep the dead dead. It's important to my culture because it's unique and no other culture really has instruments similar to ours, and it makes us stand out for who we are. In the Hmong culture, it's part of the Hmong funeral ceremonies. The qing is played throughout the night. The qing song that we're playing today, it's a song that's more related towards the people that come visit the deceased. They usually bring an animal offered to the deceased. The song talks about the relatives bringing a cow, how they offer the cow to the deceased, and how the cow doesn't want to go, but it has to go. At the funeral homes, when they're playing the entertainment songs called Noondurs, about halfway they'll stop and then they'll sing the song. The audience or like the people attending to know what the song is about. The clothing that I have on is traditional Hmong clothes. As you can see, the story cloths a little bit, the bandao, as well as coins. And what the coins represent back then was wealth. So the more coins you had on, the more wealth. Nowadays, it's more just to keep the tradition alive. When I'm teaching my students at the Hmong Culture Center, first we sing the song and then I would blow in and they would follow. Try it again. The hardest part about teaching the qing to students is just memorizing, because it's not written down on paper or anything. If they don't get it, I'll take out a piece of paper and then like draw the little circles and dots on it, and I'll draw it out for them with the inhale and exhale too, and then they just learn from that to help them out on some more of the difficult parts. At the funeral homes, there's a stick that you could think of as like a door from the real world to the spirit world, and we're gonna practice using it here just to show the student how it's done. What I like most about teaching is seeing the students be excited when they're actually learning, and like once they actually get it and they're actually blowing it, you can tell that they're actually kind of like amazed that they actually know how to do it, and they're able to continue learning the Hmong culture. Try it again. Culture is, I believe, like your identity. If in the future the Hmong people don't know their own culture anymore, then I think that's kind of sad. Okay. David, you can use some work on your chicken. We'll fix that. The qing is an important part of my culture. I just want to keep preserving that and make sure that like it continues on, tradition just keeps going. That's what's most important to me.
For more information on this story or any of the features you've seen on this broadcast, visit our Curate website. That's WHRO.org/Curate.
Todd, I want to thank you for joining me this week on Curate and for taking time away from TR Dance in Norfolk.
Heather, it's been my absolute pleasure. And now we want to hear from you. WHRO wants to showcase your videos on Curate.
Do you have an artist profile, a music video, or a short film? If you have a project or clip that's under 4 minutes in length, email a link to Curate at WHRO.org. We'll highlight some of them throughout the series.
We're looking forward to seeing your creations that will help us curate the 757. And that will wrap up this episode of Curate. Thank you for joining us.
And be sure to check us out on our Facebook page and leave your comments about the program. I'm Heather Mazzoni. Thanks for watching.
And I'm Todd Rosenleib. We'll see you next time on Curate.